Okay, let's just check the volume levels and make sure I've got the correct output device. That's looking better. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me okay. We are on the ground at Wickenby Aerodrome, formerly RAF Wickenby, in the north of England. So if we go and move away from the aircraft, we've got the Cessna 185 here today, which comes with Flight Simulator. I've never noticed it before, so I don't know whether I'm just blind or if it's appeared with some update 1. But we're going to have a good look at the airplane in a few minutes. But I thought before we do that, this is Wickenby Aerodrome, available from Orbx, made by Burning Blue Design. So we're going to go and have a look around it before we go and fly. So let's go and speed the drone camera up a little bit. So you can see obviously RAF heritage here. They've retained some of the old assets on the site. So there's obviously some planes parked around, some rather interesting looking smaller aircraft here, and some vintage aircraft. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm not sure exactly what aircraft that is. I've seen pictures of them before. I've seen them in comic books when I was young, and I've seen them in First World War aviation games. Obviously, this is a Tiger Moth. The de Havilland Flying School. It's very cool, isn't it? And we've got an American trainer from the war years here. Now, I always get the name of the developers wrong, but there used to be quite a good version of this. There's a couple of different versions of this aeroplane available for Flight Simulator for 2020 and 2024. So I'll go and find those out soon and go and cover them again. Yeah, the scenery around the airfield's good, isn't it? So if we go and look at the wider area, there's a logistics company next door, so they've modelled some of the nearby industrial units in quite some detail, actually. So raised distribution. I wonder if they work hand in hand with the airfield for aviation cargo operations. But you can see the detail in the airfield's really, really good. You know, all the paintwork, all the roads, all the ground textures are very good as well, actually. If you come down and look, you know, just around the various... You'll see it more when we're taxiing around and go out onto the runway. It does look very, very real. There's another logistics building down in this corner of the airfield here at Wickenby. Again, it's Burning Blue Design are very, very good scenery developers, aren't they? A trusted pair of hands, I guess you would describe them as. So let's have a look. We can obviously see down inside here as well. There's a hangar, some service operations going on. So it's an ex-war airfield. You can see the runways used to be a lot longer. There's now trees on them. So it was, I think it was a Lancaster base during the Second World War. So you can see the runways were a lot longer. They're now a lot shorter. So no doubt the old hangars have obviously long gone, and the 1940s buildings have gone. You've got some modern prefab type buildings now. So if you come down and have a look at the general aviation part of this, you've got animated people, which is nice to see in the simulator. They're quite subtly animated, but they do move around. Some people in the cafe. And there's a guy obviously listening to his tunes. Some nice pictures on the walls. Oops, too far there. Should slow the drone camera down really. So let's come out through the window. So there's more people around, dotted around the scenery, which is always nice to see. Not sure the extent to which this is all modelled, but the rooms have all been modelled inside, which is quite cool. So is that RAF Wickenby Memorial Collection? Interesting. And the cafe. Now there's a missile over here. I went and did some research to see if I could figure out what. There's nothing on the Wikipedia page about RAF Wickenby either, about what this missile might be. So yeah, no doubt somebody on YouTube will be able to tell me what this is. Okay, behind it we can obviously see a meteor. Also a hunter, not a meteor. What am I talking about? As I said yesterday, I've not been very well for the last few weeks, and my brain is just not functioning. So I get names of things wrong, I get the order of doing things wrong, so for that very reason I'm not going to be using ATC today. But yeah, got a nice hunter there. And obviously some people over here looking at the vintage aircraft. Okay, so let's go and wander down to the flight line, to the airplane we're going to be flying today. It's worth having a look actually at what other static airplanes are dotted around and trucks. So there's a Fire Land Rover there. There's a Robin. PA-28 of some description underneath the covers there. Is that the A40 maybe under the, or just parked there with the doors open? It's a Robin helicopter. Another PA-28 of some description. There's a, I always get the name of these wrong. Is it V-35? I can never remember. A Huey. What that's doing here is anyone's guess. Looks like a Cessna 170 of some description maybe. And I always get these wrong. It's either a 404 or a 414. Now, is this a modern 182? Oh no, it's got fixed carriage. So, but it's a four-seater. Oh, I don't know. Could be a 172, but it looks a bit bulky around the engine. Another Robin. Anyway, and you can see obviously there's some nice features here about its wartime heritage. So Wickenby Aerodrome. But you've got some propellers here. I imagine they must be Lancaster propellers. Not sure. Okay, so let's go and find our aeroplane today, which is this one over here. Cessna 185 Skywagon, which comes with the simulator. I only spotted it this morning. So yeah, I don't know whether I'm completely blind or if this has been in the simulator all along and I've just not even got as far as trying it. So it's got fixed undercarriage, 6 seats, and we're going to go and take it for a fly. So it should be good fun. You can see, if I just slow the drone camera down a little bit, it's really nicely modelled. I'm not sure who did this, or whether it was Asobo themselves, or whether it's Coronado's work. I really don't know anymore who builds the aeroplanes. But it's wonderfully built. So you get to manipulate things. It's quite dumbed down in terms of flight modelling. I had a quick fly in it this morning to try it out. It's quite dumbed down. There's no autopilot. Obviously we've got fixed gear. You can use the cowl flaps and things. Whether they actually influence the engine is another question. We'll find that out when we go for our flight. But you can see that the material modelling and the 3D structures are really, really good. So, without further ado, let's go and get out of the drone cam. So I'll just move my Xbox controller out of the way and press Shift and X, which puts us back inside. Then Shift C will stand us out next to the aeroplane, and we'll walk away from it briefly. We'll go and remove the chocks and remove the covers, remove the pitot cover, and I think that's it. Obviously, being a flight simulator aircraft, you can probably... Can we go and wiggle anything? Oh, apparently not. Oh, yes, we can. We just weren't close enough. So, can we do the same with the elevators, maybe? Yep. And the rudder, yep. So that all works. That's really cool. And we should be able to then click on the door handle to get in. Okay, so we are in the aeroplane. I'm going to scoot ourselves forward slightly. They've done this thing with this aeroplane where it's panoramic on the default camera view. I wish they wouldn't do that. So if I press Shift and Space, look, you end up having to click about 3 mouse wheel rolls to get it into the correct place. Also, they've sat us a long way back in the aeroplane, so you end up having to scoot yourself forward all the time if you recenter the view. Anyway, let's have a look. As you can see, it looks pretty photorealistic inside. So we've got the battery and alternator, got the fuel pump and magnetos. Breakers, they don't actually do anything. Like I said, it's a very basic aeroplane. It looks the part, but it's quite basic. You've got landing lights, beacon lights, nav lights, pitot heat, oil dilute. Interesting, not seen that in an aeroplane before in the simulator. You've got the mixture propeller and throttle and transponder. You've got basic ADF radios and nav radios, com radios. You've got a GNS 430 and the sound panel. Fuel gauges are over on the right hand side. But other than that, it's pretty well made. So you go and look around it, and like I said, the material modelling, it kind of says Caronado to me, but I'm not sure anymore. Okay, so if I go and put the propeller to high, put the mixture to rich, I don't think there's a fuel shut-off control. There's a selector down here where you can go left wing, right wing, or both. So we'll just do that. Yeah, there's a fuel valve here, look. So turn auxiliary pump on when switching from dry. So I think down is on. So pulled up would be shut off. You've got the parking brake obviously here. So let's go and turn on the battery master switch. And the alternator master switch will turn on the beacon light. We'll do nav lights as well while we're at it. If we go and look outside, can we see those lights on? Not very bright, are they? Maybe that's because we're in broad daylight though. What about the beacon? Can we see it flashing? It's not doing much, is it? Anyway, okay, so crack the throttle open. We'll get the prop in view so we can see the animation if there is one. Okay, let's take it up to 1000 RPM. So what I'm going to do is put the head tracking on so we're in the cockpit looking around to do this stuff. Okay, radio master can come on now. So just wait for the GPS to fire up. Go and put the transponder on standby. So cowl flaps were already open. There's a lever down here. You saw that when we did the walk around outside. So yeah, people are asking in the live stream chat that hoping I'm feeling a bit better. I'm slowly getting better. I'm having to take it quite carefully though. There's a temptation to just go back, throw yourself back into normal life, but I tried that this morning and started coughing really badly, so I'm sitting down quietly and doing this. Okay, so enter, wait for it to capture satellites. Let's do a mag test. So if we take this out to say 15 on the RPM, I'm going to turn the head tracking off for a moment, and we're going to go to left mag, and it's dropped to less than 100, and then right mag, and it hasn't moved at all. You wouldn't expect it to on a simplified airplane, and it's come back up again. So then we'll drop it back to 1,000. And is the GPS still doing it? Yeah, it's still getting on with it. So being an Asobo aeroplane, it'd be interesting to see if the CDI works properly. So we are at Wickenby. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to fly off towards the Gamston VOR in a bit. We'll do a touch and go here first. 11280. So at least we'll go and try this out. So we've got nav radio over here. 11280. So GPS has come up. Yep, that's working. So the nav instrument switched over when we went to VLOC. So that seems to work. So omni-bearing selector, it's an old-fashioned one, look, with a rotary, which is cool. We'll go and calibrate the altimeter as well while we're here. So we could go and program our route into the Garmin, see if it works. So we should be able to push and get the focus and roll this. And then, yep, this is the working title version of the 430, so we've got the keyboard icons. So we are taking off from EGNW, which is Wickenby. So we can click on the keyboard, or we can't. Interesting, so this has got the bug in it. They still haven't fixed that. So we can use the normal controls to do it though. So EGNW. Go backwards through the alphabet to do this. There's Wickenby, enter. And then we're going to go to the Gamston VOR. So we roll in here and we want G. Whoops, G. This is the proper way of doing it, by the way, without the cheat. Gamston, United Kingdom, that's the one. Then we're going to go to the Trent VOR, so we roll this, go to T, whoops, we want the first character, so T, and then N, and then T, and press enter, and United Kingdom, there we go, and the destination is EGBM Tatenhill. So EG B, and the last character should be filtered, but it's not. That's interesting. Tatenhill, enter. So there's our flight plan. So if we look on the GPS now, if we leave this in GPS mode, it'll be fine. But I think just for a bit of fun, for flying out, we'll say we want to do the 264 degree radial into Gamston. So if we switch this back for the moment to VLOC mode, switch nav 1 to 264 degrees, 240, 250, 264 degrees. So then when we bring the compass round, we should get the needle lined up, but it may not work. We'll find out when we take off. Okay, let's just check the lights. So I'm going to go and put the landing lights on now, and the pitot heat. We don't need... we started the engine without the fuel pump. Look, that's interesting. Okay, scoot ourselves forwards. So where are we parked, and which way is the wind? So wind's from the southeast, so we want to go runway 15 really. So we're going to taxi across and then down 15. So come off the parking brake, and we're immediately rolling because I was running the engine at 1000 RPM. I've got the live weather on. It's quite blustery and cloudy and windy in the UK today. Presuming this is 15 over here. Looks like it, doesn't it? So we just taxi down to the end of 15. Notice what I said about the textures. It looks very real, doesn't it? So Burning Blue Design have done a fantastic job on this. Just going to go and turn us around at the end of the runway. So full disclosure, I have done a very short flight in this just to make sure it worked before I started streaming. Okay, there's no better way to do this than just to open the engine up. So it's a tail dragger, remember, so we have to be careful. So feeding in some rudder and holding it. The wind's pushing us around as well. And pull up gently, and we're in the air. Turn into the wind slightly. Come off the power slightly. Hold about 90 knots will be fine. So took off easily there into the wind with no flaps. So we're flying about obviously 150, it was runway 15 we took off from. So let's do a left turn. Climbing out towards 1,000 feet. And we'll go and turn reciprocal, which will be 330 degrees. Gently come up to 1,000 feet, and then we'll have a look and do a touch and go. So we're going to straighten up at 330 degrees. So there's the runway we just took off from down there. So obviously now we're flying along, we should be able to close the cowl flaps if I can figure this out. Let's have a look from outside. Yeah, so you can see, look, the flaps have closed underneath. So that's actually been implemented. Getting a bit slow. You can see the pitch up on the nose there. So it is quite sensitive to power in terms of keeping airspeed. It's not the most aerodynamic thing in the universe. Okay, let's turn back in and go for a touch and go, shall we? So descending in the turn. We're not descending much though, are we? It's holding altitude really nicely now. Now we're coming down. So let's drop the flaps. there's our 150 degrees. Where has the runway gone? Completely lost my bearings here. I'm going to cheat slightly. Oh, we're further away than we thought. That's fine. It's just the mist. There's the runway. It is directly in front of us. I ran further downwind than I anticipated and didn't keep an eye on the airfield. So there's a Flight School 101 for you. Let's keep it above stall speed and bring it in and see how it behaves. Moves around quite a bit, but then it's quite a windy day. So pulling the power back. We're going to do a touch and go. Wind's coming slightly from our left. Holding it off just to see how it handles it. Nice sounds. So torque was quite impressive there. I had to kick in quite a lot of rudder to hold it straight on the centre line. So flaps can come back up now, building speed. And let's go and see now. I'm wondering if the radios are working. So 11280, oh, we haven't switched it over, have we? So are they actually working? We should have picked up Gamston and it's not. I don't think it works. So we're going to go GPS instead. Let's just try that again if we cycle it back. Yeah, I don't think. Or is it this one that's working? How strange. Maybe this is nav. Are they reversed? Is this nav 1? So we wanted. We're about to find out. If we get this to 260 and the needle comes shooting across. Yep, that's nav 1. Unless we were doing nav 2 here by accident. Oh, of course, yes, that's nav 1 in here, isn't it? Because that's the GNS 430, of course. So this is nav 2. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's pull the propeller speed down a bit. Come back down towards our original track. And we'll go hurtling off across the countryside. About 1,500 feet will be fine. So let's go and tune nav 1 over just to make sure that works. So 11280. And it's working. So it's saying we're a little bit off to the left, which absolutely makes sense, look. So then we'll turn to 265 degrees, wasn't it? And there we go. So do we get distance measuring anywhere as an analog gauge? I don't think we do. But we should be able to pull this up and this will give us it. But that's obviously the GPS data, not the radio data. So obviously at the moment we're slightly off to the right of the track, so if we turn a few degrees to the left, you'll see this needle come sliding back in, and this one will go back towards the middle as well. Using both on the same frequency, which is a bit crazy, but it's down to my idiocy with thinking that that was nav 2 when we've nav 1 when we've got a GNS 430 up there, which will obviously be nav 1. Just going to trim out the elevator. I'm kind of fighting the aeroplane a little bit here. There we go, that's better. So you can turn the nav light, the landing lights off while we're flying along. Looks the part, doesn't it? Great looking little aeroplane. And it is kind of a bit of a box of frogs to control. You have to hang on to it. Let me just check the volume levels. I haven't checked them since I took off. Okay, so it's quite loud, but that means you get to hear everything, which I'm not too worried about. The one thing that this does get right is how cramped it is in these little aeroplanes. So it looks like the co-pilot's right on top of us. Absolutely. We're shoulder to shoulder, which is how it is in small aeroplanes. It always makes me laugh when you see aeroplanes in the sim and it's like you're sitting in a living room in the cockpit. They're not like that. They're cramped little aeroplanes. You can see in here, look. They really are like sardines in a tin, the pilot and co-pilot, which is absolutely what light aircraft are like. So we're flying out towards... We've got no autopilot, by the way, in this aeroplane, so we have to hand fly. Climbing gently up to 2,000 feet, which wasn't planned. I'm going to drop back down to 1,500. But it does give us a nice view out across the fields. So let's see where we are. Nearly halfway out to the Gamston VOR, and then we'll be going off to the Trent VOR, and then down to Tatenhill. The rendering of the scenery and weather has improved, hasn't it, even further with Sim Update 1. That really is impressive out there. I think they may have improved the rendering of the co-pilots as well. I like the flutter as well. It's just getting better and better, isn't it, this simulator? For GA flight, it really is head and shoulders above anything else around, really. So this 185, while we're on our way, we could do some tests, couldn't we? Should we do a stall test in a straight line? So we're going to cut the power back. So you can see indicated airspeed here is dropping off. We'll use the elevator to hold it level. And see what happens. So we're dropping speed. Has it got a stall warning? It's starting to float quite badly. And yeah, we're losing. It's not holding the altitude. The nose is coming up on its own. So incipient stall. It's not actually fully stalled yet. So going for full elevator, and it just mushes. We lost quite a lot of altitude there though. So it sat on the warning for ages and mushed around. I was quite careful to keep it pointing in a straight line. There's a power station down here, look. Very cool. So we have the air temperature gauge there for outside air temperature, so centigrade and Fahrenheit. So it's about 18 degrees, that's really warm. Did we not get a fuel gauge up on the wing route? No, apparently not. It's just these ones here. So back at 1500 feet, which is where we wanted to be. And we're flying the GPS track. We're doubling it up with the VOR. Should we go have a look at the power station? Well, we're en route. Actually, no, I better stay on track. It is interesting flying a manual aircraft that moves around so much, so I'm having to continually fly it. I can't let go. It's a shame the lights don't seem to work. I'm presuming I've not missed anything there. So, nav lights, beacon lights. Yeah, I don't think I've missed anything. We didn't have to use primer either, but like I said, it's quite simplified in terms of controls. Being nosy, having a look at the power station as we go past. What they need now is some people out rowing or something, isn't it? Along the rivers, or out on canal boats or pleasure boats. Just to put some incidental traffic around. So if we switch this back, you can see 3 minutes till we get there. It's about 6 miles away. So obviously we're only doing 110 knots. That wind really is kicking us around, isn't it? You can see we're moving sideways quite dramatically. We're being pushed to the right, which is pushing us away from the track. I'm going to turn. We're already kind of 10 degrees into the track. Let's have a look at LittleNavMap. That will probably yeah, we've got 20 knot side wind. Look, we're fighting into it. Trouble is, the more you turn into it, the more it will weathercock you as well. So the airplane will end up rotating into the wind all of its own accord. This looks real, doesn't it? It's bizarre how real it looks. Just the clouds and the mist and the trees and the scenery and the aeroplane. It looks like real footage. It's bizarre. It really is. So we've dropped to 1,000 feet while we've been busy. I don't suppose it matters, does it? I chose 1,500 feet rather arbitrarily, really. So let's open the power up a little bit. How are we doing for fuel? I don't think this is really going to stretch the aeroplane at all doing this little route. So you can see the Gamston VOR is coming. So on the way out of Gamston, just trimming this out, it's trying to climb because it's got more airspeed, more lift on the wings. So we want to be leaving on 243 degrees and then 30 miles down to the Trent VOR. Trent VOR is 11570. So if we do this on Nav 1, So we'll switch nav 1 to 11570, and there we go, 2, Trent, and if we dial it in on the OBS omni-bearing selector, it will tell us to fly about 240 degrees. So if we turn left to 240, obviously we can see it visually on here, but it really helps to just to get the instruments working together. And then if you want to, you can put this on page 1 of the page group on the GNS 430, and it gives you the numbers. So we've got about 15 minutes down to the Trent VOR, 28 miles away. We just need to hold the direction and be somewhere near the track. This is all stock scenery, Honegal. So yeah, this is all out of the box. The only add-ons I've added today are the airfields. So these are the burning blue design airfields for Wickenby, which we just took off from, and for Tatenhill, which I've never been to. So this is my first arrival at Tatenhill when we get there. But otherwise, this is all out of the box Flight Sim 2024. So the aeroplane and the scenery, the general scenery, is just stock. Looks real, doesn't it? It's absolutely uncanny. Whoa, look at that wind kicking us around. Oh, it's keeping on where we're going, didn't I? Oh, we're looking fine. We're on track. I think the recommended specs to run 2024 is you need at least 24 gig of RAM. No, 32 gig of RAM, I mean, sorry. I think you can get away with less, but obviously it's going to start chugging. And the faster CPU and GPU you can throw at it, the better. I think the cheapest way of running 2024, to be honest, is to go and buy an Xbox. If you start trying to do it with a PC, it's just a money pit. So if you're not, you know, completely invested in it, as you might say I am, then spending the money on a PC is a bit of a fool's errand. If you're only playing it casually, you're better off with an Xbox. So Corey is saying, any tips on trimming aeroplanes? So what I typically do in the simulator, on my control stick or my joystick, there's a hat at the top of it. In every simulator of the last however many years, I've always used that hat stick as trim, so I've reprogrammed it if I was able to in the controls. So I can easily just push the hat stick to do elevator and aileron trim in any direction. So for example, you can see the aeroplane is gently rolling left at the moment. So I can hold the stick to the right, and it may not do anything because not every aeroplane has aileron. No, this one doesn't have aileron trim. But elevator trim it absolutely does. So I can just gently give it a bit of a nudge and then watch and see what happens. So you're really watching the vertical speed. So the trick is not to fly it on the trim. You use the stick to make major changes. You use the trim to try to get it so when you let go, the plane doesn't depart from the attitude it was at. But if you are accelerating or decelerating at the time, it becomes a moot point. There's no point, even worrying about it. So you need to get the aeroplane in a stable situation before you try and trim it. So you fly the aeroplane first, and then trim it to make it stable. But if you are accelerating or decelerating, all bets are off, depending on the aeroplane. So, Unogal is saying you broke 2 Xboxes in a year. Well, there must be some other factor there, because there's millions of people out there with Xboxes that don't have a single problem with them. Unless there's something I don't know about with Xboxes, with them failing and the press not covering it. Because otherwise it would be all over the press. One of my daughters has got an Xbox and she plays it for hours and hours and hours and never has an issue with it. And we had Xbox 360s back in the day. I think we've still got a couple of them in the loft. Early in their life, they had the Red Ring of Death, as it was called, which was a manufacturing defect, which was solved. And yes, we had several Xboxes, for even 360s, for years and years, and they got hammered, and nothing ever went wrong with them. Going to turn head tracking off so I can drink my tea without the camera zooming off all over the place. Okay. So we've gone off to the right of the track. You can see, obviously we were flying 250, not 240. So I'm just bringing us back. Let's put head tracking back on. Now, look at this. Look at the disparity between these two. I'm not sure. I'm just going to check this. I've never looked at this in the simulator. If we go and look in controls and go for keyboard, can we set the gyro drift? What about compass? Is there anything in here? Interesting. So what about calibrate? Because they used to, within the simulator, there used to be a keyboard key you could press to automatically bring the gyro compass in line with the whiskey or magnetic compass. It only really affects old aeroplanes like this one, because modern aeroplanes will slave the gyro compass off of the GPS unit. But this looks like it's wandering a little bit. Although it can be off-putting, look, because notice roll affects whiskey compasses, or depending on what model of them they are. This one, it doesn't tilt, so it does get affected. Yeah, so your bank angle, it's only accurate when the plane is absolutely flat level. But it looks like there is a disparity between the two. So we've climbed up to nearly 3,000 feet here while we've been flying along chattering. So, just looking at Huno Gal's comments there about the Xbox overheating, where you have your Xbox, is it somewhere that, you know, on carpet, or is it in some, or is it where you live, is it incredibly hot? Could that have a bearing on it? I'm just descending down. Apparently we can do 140 knots before we get into the danger area of the flight model, so we're going to continue descending 1,000 feet a minute. The scenery around here is amazing, isn't it? Okay, we're coming back down towards 1,500 feet slowly. Skim across these hilltops. Nice valley coming up that we're just about to pass over. I wonder where it is. Should we have a look on the map? So, Crick Tramway Village, Cromford. Don't know this part of the country very well. It's very pretty along here though, isn't it? Look at this gorge. Very cool. Lake coming up in front of us. Let's have a look, see what that is. Carsington Water. So we could make a bit of a detour and fly along the length of it, couldn't we, just for a bit of fun. There's a beacon on top of this hill, look. You can just see the mast. Some wind turbines up on top of the hill up here. Okay, so this is Carsington Water that we're just approaching. There's a quarry in between the windmills. Hang on a second, I need to take a call. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so we're just approaching the Trent VOR. I wonder if we'll actually be able to see it on the ground. Because VORs are usually quite obvious. Let's have a look. If we go... There it is. It was very obvious. Okay, so we are turning left. Let's go and check the map. See what we're actually doing. So we're going in towards Tatenhill now. So we just need to maintain 190 something degrees. Excuse me. So let's go, and we won't need to retune. We're going to just operating from the VOR now. So if we go and fly 180 for a while, the CDI should come back in of its own accord. Although depending on the wind, it may not. No, here it comes, look. Except I've set that to 200, not 190. It would help if I did it properly, wouldn't it? So we've got a little bit more of an angle to come to. Look at that weather. That's amazing, isn't it? This is just live weather over the north of England today. It looks fantastic. So, how far have we got to run? 11 miles, about 5 minutes, and we'll be at Tatenhill. So we'll circle the airfield when we get there, and then figure out what we're going to do in terms of wind. Should we have a look on the map and pre-arm ourselves with some sort of plan? So winds from the southeast, so we're looking at runway 08 with a pretty stiff crosswind to land. Okay. Whoa. As I said, this plane, you have to fly it. You can't just let it drift along. It moves around quite spectacularly. So we've drifted up to 2,000 feet. Let's bring that back down again. Okay, we're going to go and put the landing lights back on because we are going to be coming into land soon. Seven miles to run, about 4 minutes. And we should be overhead the airfield. And now we're drifting low, we've gone to 1,200 feet. Let's pull it back up to 15. Okay, so we should be able to start looking out in front of us and spot the airfield fairly soon. As I said, I've never been here, so I'm not sure what to expect. 4 miles, 2 minutes. Is this it out here somewhere? Is that a runway in that field? I think it might be. So we will be landing that way, but we're going to circle the airfield first. Go and have a look at it. So just reading the live stream comments there about games consoles. My recommendation these days would be to get a Raspberry Pi rather than a games console. Depends what sort of games you want. If you want the latest games, then obviously an Xbox or a PS5. But if you want to play old games that are, abandoned, or you can argue that they are museum pieces, I guess, is get a Raspberry Pi and download an image off the internet that's already loaded with games to play on it. Which is exactly what I've done. Got a load of old 1970s arcade machines on it, which is great fun. Things like Pac-Man and Asteroids and whatever else. Okay, so this is Tantenhill. So we'll be coming in runway 08, I think it was, which is what we're just about to pass the end of right here. But we'll just do an orbit of the airfield first to have a look at it. Just do this from outside. Obviously, once we park up, we'll come and have a taxi down and have a good look around with the drone camera. See what's been modelled here. It looks really nice, doesn't it? There's a Buccaneer down there, isn't there? Can you see it? Blackburn Buccaneer. Okay, let's straighten up. Get back onto a sensible track to come into runway 08. Aha, so David is saying that the missile was a sea slug. Interesting. The wind is really trying to kick us around. I'm to struggle. It's much easier to steer from inside than outside. I can never understand how people can play racing car games from the outside view. There's quite a number of aeroplanes down here, isn't there? We'll have a good look around in a moment. Let's go and taxi out across the grass. Park next to this Cessna on the end. Okay. Nice animation on the propeller. So, lights off. pitot heat off. Mags off. And power off. So, I'm presuming if I touch the door handle in this, I'll end up standing outside. Can I? I can open the windows as well. Yeah, it stands you outside as soon as you do that, which is pretty standard for the new aeroplanes in the sim. So there we go, that's the Cessna 185 Skywagon, which I had never flown, I don't think, in the simulator. It's fantastic. What a great little aeroplane. There's a few things that are odd in it, like, you know, the lights don't appear to light up for the beacon and stuff, but otherwise it looks amazing. Okay, so if I press Shift and C and then Shift and X, it gives me the drone camera. And then I turn off head tracking because it's a bit of a pain with the drone camera. So let's go and have a nosy around Tatenhill. So we'll come down this end of the airfield first, and I guess we look at the buildings to begin with. And some of the fixtures and stuff around the airfield. So actually, where's the way in? So it's along the main road. So let's go in as if we're coming... Oh, look at that tree. That's going to cause a few accidents, isn't it? Yeah. Flight Sim has never quite got the roads right, has it? And the tree placement is quite amusing sometimes. So I'm guessing this is the official way in up this end. And you come into the airfield... And there's a Blackburn Buccaneer parked here. Very cool. There's some great videos with Blackburn Buccaneer crews on YouTube talking about their participation in Red Flag many years ago in the US when they flew over and took out some US targets in exercises. and came in well below the radar, and using stopwatches in the cockpits to coordinate. So, you know, no communication over radio. This is cool, isn't it? Let's turn the drone camera speed down a bit so it's not as jerky. So welcome to the Midlands Air Ambulance Charity Tatenhill Airfield Education and Training Centre. This is cool, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff here. See, now I recognise the guy with the beard. Do you reckon he works for Burning Blue Design, maybe? I've seen that model elsewhere. I don't think I've seen her before. It's funny, isn't it? You start looking for these 3D characters and you wonder if they're real people. So, is there more to this than just... No, that's just an empty building. There's the tower. Nicely modelled. He's got a cup of coffee. And some old radio kit by the look of it. And some barometers and things. So what have we got parked up over here then? There's a... Is that PA-28 of some description? There's so many different planes in the Cherokee family, aren't there? There's a Baron. Another one. Cirrus SR-22. And I'm not sure what this is. Is that an American Eagle thing? I forgot what they're called. I forgot what their proper name is. And that's a bit of an odd one as well, isn't it? There's the air ambulance. Midlands Air Ambulance. Very cool. And further down, another PA-28 of some description or other. A Robin. Another, is that an SR-22? I think it might be. And there's the Buccaneer, obviously, that we saw. The buildings are all nicely done, aren't they? So this is Tatenhill. So, in terms of runways, you've got the really long runway that we came in on. There's a shorter runway at an angle. There's a ton of hangars over here. Should we go and have a nosy at them? I'm presuming it's all GA aircraft. So there's a... no, it's not a Baron, is it? I've forgotten what the single engine one's called. Bonanza. Everyone's closed their hangars. They knew I was coming, didn't they? They knew I was going to go nosing around. The Robin parked up this end. Very cool. Obviously, farmer cuts the straw in the field and leaves the bales everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. So we did a flight there with the Cessna 185 Skywagon in 2024 here. And we flew from Wickenby Aerodrome over to Tantenhill, which I'd never visited either before. So this is the burning blue design scenery that for both airfields that you've seen today. Our little aeroplane is parked over here next to the burning blue design Cessna, isn't it? So this was the 185, which is in the sim, and I'd never noticed it before until this morning, and I thought, oh, we've got to go and show everybody this one. And it was absolutely a delight to fly. Obviously it was a handful, but I think that's good. I'm a little bit, odd like that. I like aeroplanes where you have to work at them. I don't like it when you can just point it and let go. But yeah, hopefully this has been a bit of an eye-opener for others. It's a really, really well put together airplane as well. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that today. That was just, as I said, a quick flight across the country, doing a bit of navigation and a look at an airplane and a couple of airfields. So I'll see you all again soon. I've got quite the list of airfields to show over the coming weeks. I've been busy downloading lots and lots from Orbx, so I've lit the scenery up like a Christmas tree in my community folder. So we'll see. Take care. See you again soon.